This year, we are proud to acknowledge another recording artist with the award for the Independent Music New Zealand Classic Record, to acknowledge New Zealand's rich history of making timeless albums that continue to inspire us and also define who we are. This year, the award, as determined by the judging panel, goes to Herbs, What's Be Happen, which was released on the Ilolahia Mascot Studios founded label Warrior Records in July 1981, with evocative cover art featuring a photograph of police actions to clear Bastion Point in May 1978.
Say you're all right, brother, 'cause you just bought a house. Come into it, daddy, and in the morning you read. Say you're all right, brother.
You know, that reggae, when it came along, was just bloody weird sounding music. It was just kind of backwards music. You know, the beats were different. The whole vibe was very, very different. And yet, you know, it had this capacity to have messages just embedded in it. And so Herbs come along and they just do all of that. And What's Be Happen, I think, is just an absolute landmark in New Zealand music. Not just on a musical level, because it was in the vanguard of reggae, but as a political statement.
In his Stranded in Paradise book, author John Dix wrote, What's Be Happen made no impact on the charts on release. Sales were few, reviews at the time were little more than polite. But it was an auspicious start to Herb's recording career. There wasn't one dud cut on the record, and there was no doubt that Tony Fonotti, who wrote all but 2 of the tracks, had a strong lyrical touch.
Reggae is very much, for most New Zealanders, that we joke about it, but it's true, it's the barbecue music. But reggae at its inception, particularly in the hands of Bob Marley, who was that huge influence, it was a very politicised movement. It was a music that spoke for the underclass, the underdog, the disenfranchised. And into that milieu, here comes this band Herbs, who do exactly that. You know, they address political things in a way that very few New Zealand bands ever have, and they addressed global issues on Azania. But I always think that one of the interesting tracks on the album is the title track, excuse me, and that's the one where, in fact, they took a bit of a poke at local Pacifica people who were, you know, doing all right here, but forgetting about the homelands. So they painted with a very broad brush, but were also quite specific in what they were saying, their targets, in fact.
Never get far if you stay where you are.
Peter McLennan, author and musician, said, Herb's recording debut, What's Be Happen, holds up as a vital slice of our cultural history and a landmark for Pacific reggae. Dropping in the dark days of the 1981 Springbok tour, the mini-album showed the band pulling together a strong set of 6 originals. They knew they were doing something right when people started asking them about a song off the EP, Dragons and Demons, wanting to know which Bob Marley album it was from. It's still a crucial recording to this day.
Everyone's got a secret they will never tell.
You know, one of the things that I always find interesting is that it has been rather disappointing in many ways that reggae, which was a political music, or at least had the capacity to do that in a particular context, that kind of dissipated over a period of time. But in part, that banner was picked up by a new musical movement that came along, which was hip-hop. You know, the first rap single in this country by Upper Hut Posse was a political statement. And so possibly, and we need to remind ourselves that Upper Hut Posse were actually a reggae band when they started, and then rap came along. So possibly the mantle has been picked up in that way. But as, you know, cornerstone statements, I certainly think that What's Be Happen is an astonishing record, not just for its time, but I think it still has resonances today.